Okay, so this is 80.1 that's on page 486. It says show that secant squared x minus tangent squared x all over 1 plus cotangent squared x is equal to sine squared x. So the first thing that you should do is go back into your book and see if you can find secant squared x minus tangent squared x and 1 plus cotangent squared x. If you do that, you'll notice, let's see, if you come over here into your book and you look over here, you'll find secant squared x minus tangent squared x, which is this last one right here, and that is equal to 1. Okay? The other thing that you'll notice is 1 minus cotangent squared. Let's see, come over here. Where is it? Oh, sorry, 1 plus cotangent squared theta is equal to cosecant squared theta. So those are the two pieces that we're going to use in showing this. So secant squared x minus tangent squared x, we know, because of the identity, we know that secant squared x minus tangent squared x is equal to 1. And 1 plus cotangent squared x is equal to cosecant squared x. Cosecant squared x. And that's equal, we're proving that it's equal to sine squared x. Well, 1 over cosecant squared. Cosecant is 1 over sine, so really we have 1 over sine squared x. And if you multiply it by sine squared x over sine squared over 1, sine squared x over 1, those are going to cancel, and you'll get sine squared x. So we just showed that sine squared x is equal to sine squared x. Okay, 80.2. Let me just turn this a little bit. Okay, 80.2 says show 1 over tangent of A plus tangent of A equals secant A cosecant A. Okay, so the first thing that I would do, 1 over tangent of A, we know that tangent is cosine over sine. So 1 over tangent of A is sine A over cosine A plus cosine, please don't push that, plus cosine A over sine A. That's tangent. Hi, bud. Okay, so you have sine A over cosine A plus cosine A over sine A. So now what you need to do is you have to get a common denominator.
What are you doing, Mommy?
I'm teaching a lesson. I need you to go. Go find Grandma.
No,
sorry about that. So, common denominator, multiply the left side by sine A and multiply the right side by cosine A. So we get for our denominator, or for the left part of our equation, we get sine squared A over sine A cosine A. And then on the right side you get cosine squared A over sine A cosine A. Put it all together. Sine squared A plus cosine squared A all over sine A cosine A. Whoa, we're all off there. Okay, put that all together. And if you get sine squared A plus cosine squared A, remember that's equal to 1. So this whole thing is equal to 1 over sine A cosine A. Well, we can split that up. 1 over sine A times 1 over cosine A. And 1 over sine A is secant A, and 1 over cosine A is, oh, sorry, backwards. 1 over cosine A is secant A, 1 over sine A is cosecant A, which is what we were proving in the beginning, which is what we wanted to show. We wanted to show up here secant A, cosecant A, secant A, cosecant A. So this turns into this turns into that. Okay, oh well, we've got 2 more examples. So 80.3 says, show 1 over 1 plus cosine A plus 1 over 1 minus cosine A equals 2 cosecant squared A. Okay, so we are going to want to end up with it looking like this over here. But we're going to start with this. Remember, if you've got 2 fractions, you need to find a common denominator. So what we're going to end up doing is multiplying this by 1 minus cosine A and this side over here by 1 plus cosine A. So you should end up with 1 minus cosine A over 1 plus cosine A, 1 minus cosine A, plus 1 plus cosine A over 1 plus cosine A, 1 minus cosine A, like that. Sorry, my camera is obviously not working very well. Okay, so now we put it all together. We put this all together, we get 1 plus 1, so we end up with 2. Negative cosine A plus cosine A is going to cancel out. So 1 plus 1, we end up with 2. So we have 2 over 1 plus cosine A, 1 minus cosine A. Now you just need to FOIL this, or distribute. Okay, 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times cosine A is negative. 1 times negative cosine A is negative cosine A. 1 times positive cosine A is positive cosine A. And then cosine times negative cosine is negative cosine squared A. And that's all under 2. Okay, those cosines are going to drop out. So you have 2 over 1 minus cosine squared A. Cosine squared A again, or 1 minus cosine squared A. If you go back to your book, back to page 486 and find 1 minus cosine squared theta, you get sine squared theta. So this is the same thing as 2 over sine squared A, which is the same thing as 2 cosecant squared A. Okay, and then the last one, 80.4, show show that cosine A over 1 plus sine A plus 1 plus sine A over cosine A equals 2 secant A. Okay, so what we're going to do, get a common denominator, so we end up with cosine squared, I want to say theta, cosine squared A plus 1 plus sine A quantity squared all over cosine A 1 plus sine A. Like this. Okay, let's see. Let's multiply this out. So we end up with cosine squared A plus, okay, now we're going to multiply out 1 plus sine A, 1 plus sine A. So 1 times 1 is 1 plus 2 sine A plus sine squared A all over cosine A 1 plus sine A. Okay, I can put my cosine squared A and my sine squared A together. If I put those two together, cosine squared plus sine squared, they equal 1. Then we have 1 plus 1, so we get 2 plus 2 sine A all over cosine A 1 plus sine A. So let's pull out a 2. So 2 on the top, we get 1 plus sine A over cosine A 1 plus sine A. Now we can cancel out this 1 plus sine A. You're left with 2 over cosine A, which, the very last step, is 2 secant A, which is what we were showing in the first place. Alright, hopefully that made sense.